美味しくない？
まあ。
私は今日からキャラメル&塩派だな。
みつみちゃん、俺も試していい？
やってみて、すっごく美味しいよ。
ありがとう。
何？ゆずちゃん、どうしたの？
そうだった。あれを美味しいと思う。So there is something so cute, addictive, fun, serene, and did I mention cute about Skip and Loafer? And, you know, as I'm watching, the anime is not doing anything spectacular, but I can't avert my eyes from watching this. I can't avert my attention, and I can't avert the just genuinely good time I'm having while watching it. And I wrote down that this is ridiculously good. And it's not for everybody, and it will definitely only suit a certain person's type of taste. But that's exactly who the audience it's created for is for. You know what I mean? And you always hear that really dumb statement of, you know, not everything's created for you. And I think this is a really good, how do you say it? Not moment, but a really good example of that. As this is romance, but it kind of breaks away from your traditional romance. This is what I would say is very similar to, like, and the similarities are as narrow as a one-way street, okay? Like, it's similar, but very different in the same way. But you could put it in the same, like, categorical standpoint as, like, 𝐒𝐿 can't communicate, you know? You could put it in the same category as maybe even like maybe My Dress Up Darling, but not in the things that not in the way that it was depicted, you know, but in the same way that it's a little bit slower but captivating. And the reason that I'm saying all these things is at this point, and I think there was a specific character that was introduced this episode, Kurumi Makoto, okay? And she describes our main character, Mitsuri, as an enigma. And I am compelled to completely agree with this character. The thing that I think that this anime does that's so unique is in our main character, Mitsuri, and the fact that she's so well written, is she's coming to Tokyo, Kyoto. You know, she's basically coming from the boondies to the big city with ignorance of what goes on in traditional society in big city. She's bringing and continuing to use her socialistic habits and the way that she poises herself and the way that she operates herself in that small town vibe here. And it's shown over and over to us again and again. And I think that's what makes her so compelling and cute is the fact that she is ignorant to societal differences, societal breaks. You know, in this episode, Kurumi, you know, who is a new character, begins to feel comfortable with Mitsuri, and she would put her in the same societal box that she's in. Somebody who's more weebish, into certain nerdy things, you know. If you think about the girls in this, you know, in normal society, you know, they're trying to conduct, they probably read, you know, very like popular fashion magazines. They probably try and look pretty, and they try and, you know, makeups, and they try different outfits, and, you know, they probably try to do cool things, and, you know, they probably have a specific online social presence, right? They all do very similar things. And when you break away from that, you get put into like a separate box where Kurumi would live. And probably if Mitsuri grew up in this society, maybe she'd be over there in this box too, in like a very nerdy, you know, all about the books and study stuff. Or she'd be put in the box that Kurumi seems to be, that she feels she's a part of, which is probably into like manga and light novels and maybe games, you know, stuff like that. So I love that Kurumi invited Mitsuri to a movie, and because of Mitsuri's ignorance and not judging anybody on appearance or face value, just trying to be friends with everybody, she kind of has this magnetic pull to her to where people who would normally maybe be in different brackets of the class all kind of gravitate towards her, and then they're all like, oh, I would love to go to see this because I'm doing a essay on this certain class thing. Oh, I would love to do it just to get out the house. I would love to do it because like, oh, I was actually interested in that movie. I like old movies. I would like to go. Right? So it turned in from a one-person invite to you have this subsection of friends now, this friend group that's going to go. And because Mitsumi, again, not thinking of societal breaks and popular, non-popular, she also invites Yuzu, which is Yuzuki, which is probably the most pretty modelistic girl in the class or the school, maybe even. And she does it because she's so used to being in her old boondies where there was only like 8 kids that it's like, oh, if they were going to go to the beach, they showed us a cutscene of like, I don't know where they were going, but she was going somewhere and she saw one of the like 8 kids at the grocery store. She was like, hey, we're going to go to this place. Want to come along? And he's like, yeah, absolutely. And she doesn't think that that's weird. And she also doesn't think about like, oh, maybe that guy thinks he's too cool for school or, he's on the basketball team. So I can't ask him to go do, volleyball on the beach or whatever she were going to do, go fishing or something. She just thinks like, oh, well, I want to see if he would come along because there's only 8 of us. We might as well more the merrier. So she's bringing that old, like that, not old, I keep calling it old, but she's bringing that like boondies thought process into this different world. And it's working for her. And I think that ignorance and that humbleness and the different way that her character is written really works in her benefit because she's curious. She doesn't have any pre-existing opinions or exposition on anybody. She's like, if somebody says that they're into XYZ, even if she doesn't know about it, she's like, oh, well, tell me about that. Like, where I come from, we don't have anything, And a good example of that is she's, talking to 𝐒𝐻𝐽 and stuff, and she was like, I've never had boba before. He's like, what do you mean? Don't they have like a gas station? She's like, I don't know. I've never tried it before, though. And she's like, oh, it's yummy and stuff. And he gets a kick out of it because she's not hiding the fact that she's from the boondie. She's not lying about trying something. And she genuinely loved it, right? Even though he wasn't partaking in it. And then that brings her into Kurumi, who also maybe thought about trying it, but maybe she's like, oh, I'm not a pretty girl to drink foo-foo type drinks. So she decides to try it, and she actually really liked it. Then you cut to the scene of they're at the movies and stuff, and Yuzu's trying to reach out to her, and eventually they come to an impasse to where Kurumi realizes that she's also prejudging Yuzu based on her interactions with pretty girls who probably bullied her and were assholes to her and stuff. But she's judging this person who has nothing to do with the people that she's interacted with before, only because she might be in a similar societal bubble that they were in. So then she apologizes to her and she's like, oh, I don't normally hang out or know people like you, but I would like to change that. And I was like, that's such a huge step for somebody in real life. So I just think like the writing in this anime is just so compelling. It's realistic to a point. And I think that this is definitely really depicting of kids in high school and the different ways that you learn about life and the different, pre-existing, like, the pre-existing prescription that you prescribe to life and people and stuff based on your experiences that we all simply do, right? Is if I meet baseball guy 1 and he's a effing jerk to me and, he kicks me or we got in a fight or something, and then I meet baseball guy 2 a year later, it's very natural to assume this guy is just like this guy, but the reality is we're all human and we're all very different people. And although these 2 people may have had the same interests, they may be nothing alike, right? So I just think that's such a really cool concept, and that's what makes this show addicting and enjoyable and a joy to watch. And I love Skip and Loafer, and I can't wait till the romance piece also begins to come out of this as well too, because that's just going to make it even better. But I love that they're kind of laying down the pieces for these side characters as well, because that's what brings it all together. But these are just one man's little opinions on an anime. Let me know what you think, but I will let you know I'm in love with the anime. So those are my thoughts. All right, I'm going to see you guys next week. Peace.